Hello, Blade Knights! Clawblade here, and welcome to another Neverwinter video. Today we'll be going over the changes being made to racial abilities currently on the preview server. We'll see what changes have been made and compare them with what's currently on the live server to see what got nerfed and what got a buff. I will be going over all of them this time, including premium races, which I did not cover in my last video. Full disclaimer, due to being on the preview server, changes here are subject to change. If you find this video helpful, please leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please consider subscribing. And with that out of the way, let's dive right in. Alright, so here we are on the live server, and so we're just going to go in order by race. So as I said, I will be covering all of the premium races as well, just so you guys can get a better understanding, because some of them have made some interesting changes to them, so I will go over all of them. So first we have the human. So it's currently set to 250 points on all ratings on the live server, and this has been changed to 1% of all ratings. I believe the way it's set up is every 1,000 points is 1%. So in this case, this is definitely getting a bit of a buff, increasing by 1% or 1,000 points, versus on the live servers right now on consoles it's 250 points. So that isn't too bad. I still think it's a jack of all trades, but it's definitely an improvement over what it is right now. Next we have the Half-Orc, which I don't think has changed too much. It still has the critical severity up by 5%. It still has the 10% movement speed, so I don't think much has changed. And then you still also have the ability scores. So yeah, pretty much the standard right there. I mean, 5% is still pretty decent for critical severity, especially when you're trying to cap that out to 90%. So still nothing to be upset about. Next, we got the Wood Elf, which, yeah, it definitely has a bit of a buff in terms of critical strike. On the live servers, it's currently at 1,500 bonus points you get. This one, it increases the critical strike by 5%. So if my math is right, it is like an extra 5,000 on critical strike. And then for the Wild Step, they actually buffed this a little bit. So they increased it from 10% all the way up to an extra 10% added on. So 20% total, which is definitely a buff. An extra 10% on resistance, that's hell yes, I take that. Next we got the Sun Elf, which got a little bit of a buff. It went up from 2% all the way to 5%, so that's pretty useful for stacking up that AP gain. The Sun Elf Grace, I think, is still the same. That hasn't changed. It's still at 10%. All right, the Dwarf, the Stand Your Ground, that has not changed. That is still remaining at 20%. I mean, 20% is still pretty good, so I think most of them are going to be buffed up to around that for some abilities. But the Defense, the Cast Iron, that got a buff from 2,000 points, or I guess in this case would be equal to 2%, all the way up to 5%. So if you're looking to get a decent tank and you're looking to cap out defense, which honestly, I don't know how difficult that's going to be because I haven't tested it out on the preview servers yet. But if you're looking to buff out that defense for a tank, this is probably a good race to use. All right, we got the Halfling. So once again, for some of the other ones that had 1,500 bonus points, this one is getting, I'm guessing, a buff up to 5%. So if you're looking to, again, tank and you need to, you've already capped out your defense and some of the other ones, and you're looking to cap out your deflect, this is a pretty good one to have. The control effect has not changed, though. It is still remaining at 10%. So that's not too bad. Honestly, 10% isn't something to be sad about. All right, we got the Half Elf. Now, this one is, as I said before, it was an interesting one to begin with, where it gave you an extra +1 to ability depending on your class. So if you're looking to run something like a tank or something, it was probably going to give you something that was going to benefit the tank. So I think it was charisma, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But in this case, it got an extra +1 to its ability score. So it gets +2 on that specific ability score, which is not terrible. So if you choose any of these ones, the Constitution, Charisma, or Wisdom, and it stacks on that, that's pretty solid. I kind of like that. For the knack for success, is getting a buff, so it's going up by an extra 2%, bringing it to 3. The gold bonus, meh, that's kind of useless. It's also increasing deflection. In the live servers and consoles, it was only the critical severity and gold bonus up by 1%. On the live servers, it was increasing the deflect by 1500, so it is a little bit higher, but all 3 are going to get the same bonus at 3%. So that's still a buff in my opinion. All right, next we got the Tiefling. Now this hasn't changed too much. It still has the same 5% bonus damage to targets below half health, but I think the only thing that's changed is it's reducing the damage of targets attacked by 5%. So this is actually doubled. On the live server and consoles, it's currently 2.5. It's debuffing the targets a little bit more. So I guess this is kind of useful for raid bosses or any kind of bosses for that matter that are doing that high damage. You can survive just a little bit more, not too much, but it's still better than nothing. All right, next we got the Drow, and I have to say Drow got a bit of an interesting change on the Darkfire. The 5% has not changed. That is still the same. It increased the reduction of the target's defenses by 5% on live servers and consoles. It was at 2,000 points. So this is definitely getting an increase, reducing their defenses so you can deal more damage. But what's mostly interesting is the fact that they got rid of his third ability. So on my last video, if you watched it, the Drow, and I think it was the Moon Elf, or no, it was the Renegade that had the ability Trance, which increased the hit point regeneration outside of combat. Pretty useless ability. I did say before it wasn't a terrible ability. It's a bad ability. It's useless. So they actually gave them a different one, Honed Defenses, which is actually giving them an extra deflect severity, which is pretty nice for tanks. If you're looking to increase all of those defensive abilities and you need to increase your deflect severity, this is a pretty good bonus to have, not gonna lie. So that kit takes care of the basic races. So we're gonna move on to the premium. So the first one is the Dragonborn, which let's be honest, is probably the best in slot for every single character class you can create, but definitely looking like it's getting a little bit of a buff. So you still have the same ability, 5% for more healing from all spells and abilities. That has not changed. You still have the two ability scores, grants you +2 in any 2 stats of your choosing. This is probably one of the greatest reasons why it's best in slot, because most of the other ones you have set abilities that you can increase. This one you can choose whichever 2 you want, which, I mean, I'm running a Dragonborn right now, and it's a great way to, you know, pick the stats you want for the kind of class you're running. Dragonborn Fury, that is getting a little bit of an increase. So on the live servers and consoles, it's increasing the critical strike by 1500 and increasing your damage by 3%. Now, I'm not entirely sure how it's working in terms of damage now with power, so I can't verify, because I haven't done any testing, whether the 3% power is actually going to be better than 3% increased damage. It is increasing your critical strike as well, essentially doubling it, I think, so that's not bad. But the 3% power, if you're still looking to cap power, especially for defensive builds like tanks, maybe some healers there, it doesn't sound too bad at all, but I can't verify if it's actually a buff or a nerf for damaging. I honestly can't tell. For the metallic ancestry, this is pretty much the same as the regular Dragonborn. The only difference is that you're gaining 3% more hit points than all the other ones. So that's the only added bonus. I don't think that has changed either. That is actually both 3% and 3% on the live server as well. So yeah, that's the only change there. So if you're looking for a tank, or heck, if you're looking for any class to get some more HP, this definitely one is the best in slot out of all races, I think. All right, the Aasimar, which honestly, I'm not gonna lie, this is what I understood to be a temporary unlock. So I don't know if this is going to be available post Bleeding Citadel, because it is a timed campaign, and it was only for those who actually picked up the kits or the packs. So who knows, they might have this available later on. You could buy just the an extra pack to unlock it, but I'll still go over it anyway. The Celestial Superiority on the live server, it's increasing maximum hit points by 1% and taking 1% less damage. This year they actually doubled it, so it's increased by 2%. It's great for healers and for tanks. Same goes for the ability score, same as Dragonborn, grants you +2 in any 2 stats. And Celestial Presence grants you all nearby parties 2% increase to hit points. So kind of I don't want to say stacks because I haven't tried it out yet, but I think this one is just for the character and this is for all your teammates. But anyway, the Celestial Presence has been buffed up from 1%. So essentially doubled the amount of hit points you're going to give all your party members. This right here is probably great for healer class, probably the best for healer class, just because of the Celestial Superiority, the outgoing healing, the maximum pin points, the power. Yeah, definitely great for healers. Next, we got the Gith, which don't think changed all that much. Okay, so you have the stamina regeneration up from 3%. A little bit of a buff there. You still have the ability scores that hasn't changed, nor is the Gith advantage. It's still up 5%, and on the live service it's giving you 5,000 combat advantage, so that actually hasn't changed. So the only thing that's being changed on the Gith is the endurance, the regenerate stamina faster. Not too shabby, especially if you plan on using your dodges or your blocks more often than some. But yeah, not that much change on the Gith. Next, we got the Moon Elf, which got a little bit of a buff as well. So 3% action point gain and stamina gain, that has been increased from 1%. So most of these have been buffed. There are only some that are actually circumstantial if they're a debuff or not, such as the Dragonborn with the power and damage swap. But most of these look like they are getting a buff, which is nice. The resilience, that has not changed. That is still 10%. Most of the ones that are resistant are control effects have stayed the same. I know I'm just saying this now, but yeah. all of the ones that have control resist effects are remaining at 10%. I think the only other ones that are increasing are the ones that are giving flat stats like defense, critical strike, critical severity, those sort of things. Those are increasing to 20%. And then finally we have the Renegade. Now the Renegade is one of the two that I mentioned that was getting a massive change. The other one was the Drow. So its trance ability is no longer present. It's been switched with the Hone Defenses, so giving you the +5% deflect severity. Sorry, I almost said crit severity. So yeah, definitely much better than trance. Very nice. Now for the Fairy Fire, this is a little, it's definitely a buff, but not as much as some of the other ones. So it is increasing the effect of reducing the target's defenses by 3%. That has been increased from 1,500, but the damage of their attacks, reducing the damage of their attacks, only increased by 0.5%. It's 2.5 on the live servers and consoles, so it's not that big of a jump, but I guess just good enough to warrant the little bit of a buff there. So there we have it. There is no official release date yet for the next mod or the release of the combat and stat changes to the live servers, most likely within the next month or so on PC and consoles at a later date. I will be covering that content when it comes to consoles though, rather than PC, as it is the platform I play on. What's your racing class you've had the most success with? You can leave your answers in the comments section below. Again, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to stay notified on future videos when they get posted. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. You can also find me live streaming every weekend at twitch.tv/theclawblade. So thank you so much for watching, guys and gals, and I will see you all in the next video. Clawblade signing off.